Well, today I want to look about part of my perspective concerning what is happening, and my. Remember that perspectives usually look different depending with the angle you're looking at. Uh, you're looking at it with. So today, the, what I'm going to talk to us about, I hope will be able to help us even bring in some truths and catch you. You'll be able to locate some of the truths that could be able to help us to be more pragmatic and sensible, and to be able to help us make better decisions, and to be able to help us uh, in this time in which we are in. First of all, I'm going to start with an allegory. Uh, Story of about a beautiful, magnificent building that was built, that took a lot of years to build, and it was a real nice building, and it took a lot of hard work, sweat, and lots of sacrifices to be able to build this amazing building. One time, a fire broke out in the building, and when it broke out, it began to expand, and the flames began to get hotter and hotter, and people noticed that there was a fire, and they called out, blew the alarm, and guys gathered to try and put off the fire that was there. People gathered to try and put off the fire that was there. But as time went on, when the people were trying to put off the fire, there are people that came that had not a very good plan for this building. Instead of coming with the water buckets and coming with fire extinguishers and coming with the fire brigade, they came with buckets full of kerosene or paraffin. And when others were trying to put it off, they were pouring and increasing the flames. They were making the flames get even hotter. And that's the same thing with our nation currently. Yeah, the same thing with our nation currently. And remember, as I start, my question today is, are we part of the solution, or are we part of the problem? I saw a young girl. The parent asked her, I don't know if it was 3 or about that age, 3 years, asked her, are you part of the solution, or are you part of the problem? And the young girl said, I am all the problem. So even during this time, are we part of the solution, or are we part of the problem, or are we all the problem? Are we all the problem? So it's something for us to be able to look at. In our nation, the young people came out, they blew the alarm, and yes, guys gathered, and guys were looking for solutions for this nation. Guys gathered, and guys were looking for solutions for this nation. And I know there are still people who have goodwill that are looking for solutions for this nation, but there are people who came in later on that made this whole movement metamorphosize to something else. To something else. And it is important for us, even during this time, to be able to examine ourselves and look at, remember that the boat never sinks because of the water, the water that surrounds it. It only sinks because of the water that it has allowed to get into it. Or a ship does not sink because of the things that the water that surrounds it. It only sinks because of the water that it has allowed to get into it. And if we are not able to deal with that hole and deal with the water that has come in and remove it from the boat sinks or the ship sinks. And yes, the agitation that the youths were bringing was quite good. They were looking for accountability. They were looking at good governance. They were looking that the resources that the nation that we have may be allocated and be used properly. And that is a good thing. It's a good agitation. But once the agitation was made, it is now important for us to be able to look for very practical ways, because remember, we are not in a theoretical government. We are in a democratic government. And in a democratic government, they say that the majority have their way, but the minority have their say. And in that case, we also need to look at one thing, that as you negotiate, when you're negotiating concerning anything, if you come with stance that cannot be, if you come with stance that you cannot be able to negotiate, and see which ones at the moment need to be dealt with and which ones can be dealt with as times go by, will be creating even a bigger problem than the problem that we are trying to solve. We'll be creating even a bigger problem. And my prayer is that we do not become part of the problem or even create more complex problems, but we should